Shabbat Shalom. It is good to be back. All right, so we're going to begin with Shalom Aleichem, and then we'll light candles, and we will come together as a community for Shabbat. It's good to see everyone. Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharid, Malachi Malachi Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Bo'aken Shalom Malachi Shalom Malachi Elyon Mi Melech Malachi Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu Baruch Hu Nil Shalom Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, Melech, Malachi Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Tzeken Shalom, Malachi Shalom, Malachi Elyon, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. We rise as we light candles, welcoming Shabbat officially. Amen, amen. Shabbat Shalom. Say Shabbat Shalom, please.
Today is my birthday. Last Friday was her birthday.
And you go 21?
I'm 7.
All right, you may be seated. We turn to our service on page 15, beginning with the preliminary components of the service, leading into, ultimately, the Ma'ariv. Kabbalat Shabbat, page 15. Lechu niranena l'Adonai, nariya letzor yishenu, nikadma fana betoda, bizmirod nariya lo. يقدر الملك دلك لما شبه يدوم تريارت وتورن ما شاء الله يا ما تسمع تاكشي لبابا كم يوم سبب أربعين شنا كود بدور وعمر أم توي لباب هم لو يدود رخاي أشين إتبتي ويابي ميون Menuchati. Page 16, we join together. Shiru l'Adonai, shir chadash, shiru l'Adonai, kol haaretz, shiru l'Adonai, baruchu shemo, basru miyom leyom yeshuato, sapru v'goyim kevodo, b'chol ha'amim nifleotav, ki gadol Adonai, hum hula me'od, norahu, al kol Elohim, yalala, 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 yalla la 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 Four lines from the bottom, we continue together. Yismichu hashamayim, Yismichu hashamayim, Yismichu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz, Yeramayam, 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 umelo, Yeramayam, 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 umelo, Yismichu hashamayim, Yismichu hashamayim, Yismichu hashamayim, v'tagel haaretz, Yalo sadai v'chol asher bo, az yiranenu kol atzei ya'ar, lifnei Adonai kiva, kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel b'tzedek, v'ami be'emunato. Page 17. Adonai malak tagel haaretz yismechu yirarim. Tzika v'ruach alam yechud. Or zaru ala tzadik u'lishrei lev simcha, simecho tzadikim b'Adonai v'hodu lezecher kodsho. Mizmor shir shir charash tchil niflot asahot shir lo yiminu uzro kodsho. B'chatzor b'chosh b'harri lifnei hamelech Adonai yiramayim u'lo tevod yashvei le'ne'anim u'chaf yachachim. Lifnei Adonai kiva lishpot haaretz, yishpot tevel b'tzedek ve'amim b'misharim. Page 19. Adonai malak yirgezu amim yoshev keruvim tanut haaretz. Adonai b'tim b'nei. Shekavil hadam ragal karoshu Moshe v'Aaron b'chonav v'chishmo v'chorei shemo v'chorim v'Adonai v'hu yanim. Romimu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtakavu lehar kodsho. Romimu Adonai Eloheinu v'hishtakavu lehar kodsho. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romimu. Ki kadosh Adonai Eloheinu romimu, romimu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. Romimu Adonai Eloheinu v'ishtachavu lehar kodsho. We rise, turning to page 20. We join together. Mizmor leDavid, havul Adonai b'nei Elim, havul Adonai, kavod va'od yalalai, havul Adonai, kivod shemo ishtachavul Adonai b'arat kodesh, kol Adonai alamayim el hakavod yirim, Adonai amayim rabim, kol Adonai bako
שובר ארזים, וישבר אדוני את ארזי הבנון, וירקידם כמו עגל לבנון וסיריון כמו בן רעמים. כל אדוני קוצב להבות איש, כל אדוני יכיל מדבר, יכיל אדוני מדבר קדש, כל אדוני יכול אל איילות, ויחשוף יערור ובהיכלו, כולו אומר כבוד יאללה לאדוני למבול ישב, וישב אדוני מלך לעולם, אדוני עוז לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. יא לי 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 יא לי 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 יא לי 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 יא לי לי לי. May be seated. Turn to page 21, Lecha Dodi. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, pnei Shabbat nikabela. Shahamor v'zakor b'dibor echad, Hishmianu el hamyuchad, Adonai echad, Ushemo echad, L'Shem u'tifer v'litila. Lecha Dodi Dodi, Lecha Dodi likra kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Likrat Shabbat lechu v'nelcha, Ki mekor haberacha, Merosh mikeden nisucha, Sof ma'aseh b'machshava tchila. Lecha Dodi Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Mikdash melech ir melucha, Kum etzei mitoch ha'afecha, Rav lach shevet b'yimek habacha, V'hu yechmol alaychen la. Lecha Dodi Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Hidna ari me'afar kumi, Lishi bigdei tifartecha mi, Ayad ben Yishai beit alakni, Koreva el nafshi giala. Lecha Dodi Dodi, Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Lecha Dodi likrat kala, Pnei Shabbat nikabela. Hitoreri, hitoreri, Kiva ore, kumi ori, 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 shidaberi, kevod Adonai alayik nigla. Lecha dodi lecha dodi likra kala. Pene jabanika billah. Lecha dodi likra kala. Pene jabanika billah. Boi v'shalom ateret bala, gam b'simcha u'v'tzohala, toch emunei an segula, boi chala, lecha dodi, lecha dodi likra kala, hene jabanika billah, lecha dodi likra kala, perish ikabillah. May be seated. Page 23. Mizmor shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Mizmor shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Tov lehodo l'Adonai, o lezamer shimcha elyon, leagid baboker chastecha, ve'munatcha b'halelor. Mizmor shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Mizmor shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Ale asor v'ale navel, ale gayon b'chinor, kisemakani Adonai b'fo'alecha b'maseh yadecha aranin. Mizmor shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Mizmor shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Od yenovim b'seva d'shenim v'rananim yiyo le'agid ki asher Adonai tzuri v'lo v'latabo. Page 24. Adonai malach yelavesh lavesh Irotecha ne'emenu ma'olevecha na'ava kodesh Adonai liorech yamim. Mourner's Kaddish at the bottom of page 24. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shemei rabbah, bi'alma divra kirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala uvizman kariv yimru amen. Yehi shmei rabbah mevorach le'alam elamei amaya. Yitbarak v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei dekudisha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata. Da'amiran bi'alma v'yimru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'ya'kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'ya'kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. We turn to page 28 and we rise, the call to worship, the Baruch Hu. Baruch Hu et Adonai hamivorach. Baruch Adonai hamivorach li'olam va'ed. seated, the first bracha preceding the Shema, the blessing recognizing God as creator. Baruch atah Adonai olam yot asher bivaru. Umavir yom umevir laila, umavir ben yom uven laila, Adonai tziva'ot shemo el chai v'kayam, tamidim loch aleinu le'olam va'ed, Baruch atah Adonai Hamari Varavim, Ahavat Olam Beit Yisrael Amcha Ahavta, Torah u'mitzvot chukim u'mishpatim otanu limadita, Al ken Adonai Eloheinu b'shogveinu u'b'kumeinu nasiach b'chukecha v'nismat b'divrei Toratecha u'b'mitzvotecha li'olam v'oed ki hem chayenu v'yorech yamenu v'yorech yamenu uvahem nege yomam v'layla yomam v'layla v'ahavatecha al tasir mimenu li'olamim Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael, Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. V'ahavta it Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'hayu advarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך וקשרתם לאות על ידיך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך שמתם את דברי אלא על לבב וכל אנשיכם וקשרתם למען יבואו ימיכם ויאמרו האדם אשר נשבעתם עליו ושומעים על הארץ ויאמר אדוני אל משה לאמור דבר על בני ישראל ואמרת אליהם ויעשו להם ציצית Adonai Elohechem Emer. Page 32. ומלכותו ברצון קיבלו עליהם משה ובני ישראל לחנו שירה בשמחה רבה ויאמרו כולם מי כמוך באלים אדוני מי כמוך נדר בקודש נורא מלכותך ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה, זה לי ענו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר כי בדרן את יעקב, וגאלו מיד חזק ממנו, ברוך אתה אדוני, גא ישראל. Hashkivenu on page 33. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Amidenu Malkeinu l'chaim. Hashkivenu Adonai Eloheinu l'shalom Amidenu Malkeinu l'chaim. ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך, ברוך אתה אדוני, הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. We rise, page 34. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, וביום השביעי שבה וינפש. יתקדש שמי רבה, ויאמר דברה כרותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון ובקיידך בית ישראל, בגלה בגלה ובזמן קריב יאמרו, יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם עולם ימיה, יתברך יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה, שמי לקודשה בריחו לעילה מן כה ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תאמירן ביומה ויאמרו Amen. We come to the essence of prayer, the Amidah, which is recited silently, pages 35 through 38. Ose shalom imromav, huyase shalom aleinu, v'achol Yisrael, v'imru, amen. Yase shalom, shalom aleinu v'yachol Yisrael. 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 V'yimeru. May be seated. Shabbat shalom. It's good to go away on vacation. It's good to come back and be home among friends and community and routine and life. Words have always had a central place in Judaism. As Jews, we understand that words have real power. Words create. Words destroy. Words can be holy. The Torah begins with words serving as the tools of creation. In Genesis, God says, Yehi or vayehi, or let there be light, and it exists. There is light. The book of Deuteronomy is primarily Moses' recounting of the experience of the Israelites over the prior 40 years. And in his description of those events, he reminds those assembled that it was with words. It was words that stung so deeply and so painfully that they ultimately led to the destruction of the first generation of those brought out from Egypt. The words of the spies sent to scout out the land of Israel said the following: all the people that we saw in it, the land, are men of great size. We saw the Nephilim there, the Anakites, and we looked like grasshoppers to ourselves. Such words can destroy hope, faith, self-confidence. They destroy a sense of self-worth and value, and so much more. The Hebrew word that we use for words, divarim, like all the other words in the Torah, are written without vowels. They can be read, they can be vocalized in more than one way. The application of vowels to the words is in and of itself an interpretation. So the word can be read as divarim. That's what we call this Sedra. That's what we call the book of divarim, of words. But without vowels, it can also be read as divorim, which means bees. Words can be sweet and sustain, like the honey of bees. But they also can hurt and even lead to death, like the sting of a bee. The destructive sting of words is emphasized. In a few weeks, we'll have the high holiday liturgical confessions, during which we will recite each of the following lines. You'll recognize the melody. I'm going to do in English what you say in Hebrew. For the sin which we have committed before thee with the utterance of the lips, and for the sin which we have committed before thee by confession of the lips, for the sin which we have committed before thee by unclean lips, and for the sin which we have committed before thee by impure speech, for the sin which we have committed before thee by denying and lying, and for the sin which we have committed before thee by slander, for the sin which we have committed before thee by idle gossip, and for the sin which we have committed before thee by tale-bearing. Each of those lines are actual lines in the text that you will recite. The great majority of the sins listed within the confessionals are oral. Things that we say sometimes without any intent, but nonetheless hurt. So what do we do with that? How can we change our habits so as not to participate in what has become known as the national Jewish indoor sport of gossip? In the book, 9 Questions That People Ask About Judaism, Dennis Prager and Joseph Telushkin present us with a few suggestions. Here they are. There's more than this, but I'm going to give you a few. 1, begin by eliminating Lashon Hara from the Shabbat Friday night table. Pick a time and say, not here. 2, avoiding spending time with those you know are frequently engaged in Lashon Hara, because it rubs off. 3, change the topic when you know that when you're with people who engage in Lashon Hara. Prager and Telushkin note that our phones and our emails are popular devices, popular vehicles for unfair speech. And so some religious Jews keep a picture of the Chafetz Chaim near the phone or the computer to remind them not to speak ill of others. More modern approach might simply be to attach a sticker to your phone or your computer that says, no Lashon Hara. Constant reminders. In Masechet Arachim, Rabbi Yossi taught, I never made a statement for which I would have to turn around and check whether the person about whom I was speaking was present. Similarly, Rabbi Twersky advises a reliable rule of thumb is to ask, do I need to look behind me before I say it? And if I do, don't say it. Now we all recognize that we miss the mark. I was at a lecture Rabbi Telushkin did a number of years ago in which he comes into a congregation as a scholar in residence on Friday night and says to you, I challenge you for the next 24 hours to not engage in any kind of gossip. And then on Saturday night he meets with the congregation, and each time he says, okay, who made it? And he said, I've yet to see one hand get raised. The elimination of Lashon Hara is a difficult task, and it's easy to become disillusioned and to give up. So let us learn from Rabbi Tarfon in Mishnah Pirkei Avot. You are not required to complete the task, but neither are you free to desist from it. Welcome to Devarim. Shabbat Shalom. We turn to page 47. We rise, Vayechulu. Vayechulu hashamayim v'haaretz v'chol tzivam vayechal Elohim bayom hashvi'i milakto asher asah vayivod bayom hashvi'i mikom milakto asher asah Vayavarech Elohim et Yom HaShvi'i Vayikadesh oto Kivod Shabbat Mikom Melakto Asher bara Elohim lasot Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu v'Elohei Avoteinu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzchak v'Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah Elohei Rivka Elohei Rachel v'Elohei Leah Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanora El Elyon Choni Shamayim v'Aretz Magin Avod Bidvaro Mechayim Etim B'mamaro Ha'el HaKadosh She'en Kamohu Hameniach Le'amo B'yom Shabbat Kodsho כי רצה להניח להם, כי רצה להניח להם, לפניו נעבור ברב הפחד, ונודה לשמו בכל יום תמיד בין הברכות אל ההודעות אדון השלום מקדש השבת ומברך שביעי ומניח בקדושה לעמד ושני יונק זכר למעשה בראשית. אלוהינו ואלוהי אבותינו רצה במנוחתנו קדשנו במצוותיך ותן חלקנו בתורתך סבנו מטובך ושמחנו בישועתך וטהר ליבנו לעבדך באמת והנחילנו אדוני אלוהינו באהבה וברצון שבת קודשך ואנוכו וישראל מקדש שמך ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. יתגלה ויקרא שמי רבה ביום דברך ירותי וימליך מלכותי בחייכון ובימיכון ובחיי דכל בית ישראל בגלה וזמן קריב יאמרו אמן. יהי שמי רבה מברך לעולם עולם עמיה יתברך וישתבח ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא ויתהדר ויתעלה ויתעלה שמר קודשה בריחו לעילה מנחה ברכתה ושירתה תתברתה ונחמתה דמירן בעלמה ויאמרו אמן. תתקבל צלות הון ובאות הון דכל ישראל קודם אבו ושמיה ויאמרו ישלום הרב אמין שמיה וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו עושה שלום במרומיו הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ויאמרו. We remain standing. We turn to page 49, Kiddush LeShabbat. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'ratzavanu v'shabbat kodesho b'yava uvratzon inchilanu זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש זכר ליציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל שבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Chaim. Page 51. עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, עתיק גדולה ליוצא בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמטבעות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגור עלינו ככל המונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא, יוסר הארץ ומושב יקרו בשמיים ממעל, ושכינתו זו בגובה מרומים. הוא אלוהינו אין עוד, אמת מלכנו וזולתו, ככתוב בתורתו, וידעת יום והשבותה. הוא האלוהים בשמיים ימל, ועל הארץ מתחת אין עוד. כתוב בתורתך אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד, ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד. May be seated. On this Shabbat, our hearts go out to the families of Phyllis Finger, David Warren, Barbara Kleiner, Adele Kushner, Jerry Kasoy, and Marjorie Kaplan-Jackson. We're also observing the yahrzeits of Zev Barish, Marvin Bine, Evelyn Ruth Brown, Joseph Kalem, Maxine Adelson-Cohen, David Dantas, Renee Danzinger, Aryeh Eliezer, Sam Flyans, Saul Florsheimer, Sophia Kapusta, Reba Karf, Helen Rosenzweig-Kuten, Gertrude Levine, James Malik, Raphael Ruach, Hannah Sakonek, Stanford Wallace, Philip Warren, Albert Weiss, and Dolores Wide. All those in a period of mourning, those who are observing a yahrzeit, we ask you to rise. Words of mourners Kaddish can be found on page 52. Yitgadal v'yitgadash shmei Rabbah. B'alma divrach yirutei v'yamlich malchutei. B'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael. Ba'agala u'v'izman kariv yimru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevorach li'olam elamei amayah. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh. V'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei l'kudusha b'richu. Le'ela min kol birkata v'shirata. Tushbechata v'nechemata da'amiran v'yalma v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya. V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav. Hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. You may be seated. So in selecting people to light candles tonight, I discovered I randomly picked a couple of birthday girls. I'm going to call you girls, women. And so we want to celebrate with you. We want to wish you a happy birthday. We want to hope that you will reach the age of 120, and may we all be there with you to celebrate. Couple of announcements. The morning minyan is every Monday through Sunday through Friday at 9 a.m. on Zoom, with one exception this week. Tomorrow night is Tisha B'Av. Tomorrow night is the saddest day in the Jewish calendar. It marks a number of historical events of great tragedy for the Jewish people. We're going to begin tomorrow evening at 8:20. I'm going to share a few words about some of the history of the moment, some words as Josephus interpreted it, and we'll look at different lenses of Tisha B'Av and the events of such. We'll then follow that up with Havdalah and Mariv and the reading of Eicha and Kinot. And then again, 9 o'clock the next morning, we will do the same Sunday morning. It's distinctively, you'll have the option to come and be with us in the chapel as we once again read Eicha, or you can participate on Zoom, as is normally the morning minyan practice. On August 13th, Saturday morning, our adult ed on Zoom, the Inspired Book Club, they're reading the Aleppo Codex by Maddie Friedman. Please see the bulletin for more information. On the 14th, the Men's Club Blood Drive. Please, registration is open now. You have the gift of life that you can share. And we are approaching the high holidays. So watch for information, watch for tickets, watch for all the good stuff that goes with that. And we look forward to sharing a wonderful year together as we approach the holidays. Have I missed anything? Just let you know, Rabbi Teller is in Phoenix with the family, because the Phoenix is the place to be in August. All right. I'm sure they're roasting a bit. On the other hand, Chaz and Crone is on top of mountains and atop of the hills of the mountains of Colorado, and so I'm sure he's having a slightly different temperature experience. We look forward to their returns, but both are away, sort of getting re-inspired as we approach the holidays this year. We're going to conclude with Hatikva, page 395. We ask you to please rise. Kol balev pnima nefesh Yehudi homiya ufate mizra kadima ayin letzion Sophia od lo Shnot alpayim leotam chofshi be'artzeinu Eretz Zion v'Yerushalayim leotam chofshi be'artzeinu Eretz Zion Yerushalayim. Please find someone around you to share blessings. Yivarechecha Adonai ve'yishmerecha Ya'er Adonai panav elecha v'yechuaneka Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. Shabbat shalom. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom. Thank you.